There we go. Helps if I have the stream going to the right place. And with that yawn, it's more than enough time for everything to kick in. This episode of the Unwashed Asses is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/0and09. Not gonna lie, guys, times are tough. We need a little bit of extra scratch to help make this thing keep coming. We're this close to having to cancel the show or do something different with it. So please head over to patreon.com/0and09. Pitch in $1. That's all I ask, $1 a month, and we'll actually keep this thing going. That's the only goal we got right now. That's gonna get annoying. Ta-da! Sorry, I left the sliding glass door open, and the blinds are like, "Oh no, we'll make it so you don't forget that we're here," and just constantly rattle and flutter. But welcome to the Unwashed Asses, episode 34, recorded Tuesday, October 17th, 2017. Now, those astute, can't talk. Brain not working. Those astute viewers will recognize a couple things. One, there was no episode last night, and two, I'm recording on a Tuesday during work hours. What's the deal? Well, I definitely went into work today and then decided I don't like this whole being dizzy, nauseous, and terrible shaky hands, so we're gonna go ahead and just go right back on home. So here I am. We're doing our makeup episode, and last night just was a no-go because, yeah, I'll see how good I am with that mute button today, because I've definitely got whatever's going around. It started off with a sore throat that led to coughing, which led to phlegm. And the coughing is that like hard entire chest reverberates cough that gives you a headache. So I went ahead and drugged myself up this morning, but apparently my body wasn't having any of it. So sorry, it looks like there's something going on with the stream, and I gotta wonder if it's what I'm doing with this here Xbox, thinking, oh, I could totally download some stuff. So, oh God, I'm sorry. It's gonna be a bit scattered today. Let's see. I'm all over the place. Yeah, we'll pause that installation. There we go. There we go. No more drop frames. That's what everybody wants, right? Yeah, no, I'm not. Been waking up super early and not getting enough sleep, and because I feel like garbage, and then yeah, it's definitely carrying over here. So yesterday was not good whatsoever. We finally got our swing into fall weather where it's overcast, it's chilly. I get to wear jackets and scarves and hoodies, and I'm not sweating to death every day. We got that nice cool air blowing through, and apparently, as it does, that makes everybody sick. And because for a living I go into people's homes, half a dozen at least a day, people carry stuff, so I pick it up. But yesterday was just awful. Nothing customer facing, I should say, but If you have a service technician coming over to your house and you realize they might be going into your backyard, please pick up your dog shit. You know, don't be one of those houses, especially if you have kids that are going to play in the backyard. Go out and clean up after your dog. Because when my day starts by me stepping in a gigantic fresh pile of, that like burnt sienna dog shit, I can't make myself laugh. And it gets all over my boots. That's bad enough. But usually what happens after the fact is I got to climb my ladder. And as I'm climbing my ladder, I'm then getting said dog shit all over the rungs. So going up, fine, whatever. Coming back down, I am then face to face with dog shit on each rung. And it stinks, and there's the possibility that, as I'm climbing the ladder, I'm getting said dog shit on my pant legs, and then I gotta spend the rest of the day with dog shit on my boots. And I'll take a tool, try to scrape it out or wipe them through the grass, but these are work boots. They got the thick treads. They're meant to, give you extra grip, and there's just all types of crevices and cavities for said dog shit to embed itself in, and before you know it, you're swapping out boot covers every job because you can't get rid of, there's always the possibility of sticking your fingers in more dog shit. So that was fun. That was a fun way to start the day. Like, awesome, first job, got dog shit on my boots. That's definitely gonna be something I'm gonna smell the rest of the day. Ladder sitting on top, and if it was raining, could have dealt with it a bit better, but no, instead I have dog shit then drying to the rungs of my ladder. I can smell it in the cab of the truck, and like I said, I'm burning through boot covers left and right just because I'm not going to recycle dog shit boot covers. No. So as the day progresses, I'm using my ladder quite a bit. For whatever reason, God has decided to shit in my cereal, and I have to use said ladder with rungs covered in dog shit several times, so I'm getting a fresh, nose full and face full of dog shit. And we get to the point in the day where it's probably like the climax. It's the height of the story. It's been a long, tiring day, and now I have to run a 200-foot aerial drop from the middle of a forest to a bump pole to a house over a tree. So, starts at the pole in the middle of the tree. At a pole in the middle of the forest. Go about 50 foot. Loop it over a tree. Hit my bump pole, which is just a second pole that you connect to. And then go over to the house. Now, before I had gotten too far into it, the owner of the home comes out and says, "Hey, do you have a problem with bees?" How do you respond to that other than, well, yes? Like, is there any one person aside from an actual beekeeper who doesn't have a problem with bees? Like, oh yeah, I love me some bees. I go on dates with them, or I have one over for coffee every now and then, or we just have a girl at night and we sit in the tub and we talk about boys and eat bonbons. No, nobody likes bees. They sting you and they're annoying, and because of this atrociously long summer, they're not dying. It's the middle of October and bees are still a thing, which is just bullshit. For whatever reason, they've been, bees and wasps. Wasps in particular have been particularly aggressive and overly long-lived. So a customer comes out and says, "Hey, you have a problem with bees?" I lie. No. Why would I have a problem with bees? Love them. Okay, well, just give you a heads up. There's bees that live under the house, and they live in the bushes where I have to go work, where the house box is, where I have to put the new line in. Like, okay, thanks for letting me know. Now, typically, the way we're supposed to deal with bees is we have a can of spray that will, shoot about 20 feet, and we take care of the bees that way. But that's if we have a nest or some area that they're clustering. You're not supposed to spray it on vegetation or on them while they're flying, which is kind of how that situation pans out, where they're in bushes flying around and there's not one concentrated nest because, as customer said, they live under the house, which sucks. Sucks for me. There's nothing I can do about them. Like, okay, well, they're bees. They're not wasps. Bees will, in my experience, generally leave you alone as long as you don't fuck with them. But just to be safe, I'll go ahead and, I'll put my jacket on. I'll pull the hood real tight and keep the sleeves down, put on some gloves. That way, if they do try to sting me, they're not going to get through the coat. I think I talked about this before where I had another job where there was a bee nest that I had to clear out, and they were landing on the jacket, and I could see them trying to sting me, but because the jacket's thick enough, they weren't doing any damage. Like, okay, I've dealt with this before, I can do it again. It's going to suck a little bit, but it's doable. So I get my line run, get over to the house, and I have to then go into the bushes to finish hooking up the line. Now this should be the quick and easy part. I just have to put a fitting on the line, feed it in the box, get it connected, and then boom, customer's back up and running, close the box and get out. Now, getting to this point, I had disturbed the bees quite a bit. I had to bring my ladder into the bushes. Now, the bushes themselves, just to kind of paint a picture, the leaves have all fallen off. They're easily 7 foot tall. They're taller than I am. I'm 6 foot. And they're about 5 foot deep. The way the house is shaped is it's got this little recessed cavity where your electric meter and the cable house box and gas meters all are. And so typically people will go ahead and plant bushes in there to hide up all this equipment, which for utility workers like myself really fucking sucks. I wish you wouldn't do it. Makes it very hard for me to do my job. So it's not a matter of, I could lean over the bushes and get into the house box, or I just have to worry about everything waist down. No, it's literally up over my head, so the bees are buzzing all over. Like, it's okay though. I've upset them quite a bit, but I'm prepared. I got my jacket and gloves. Let's go ahead and just get in there, finish up the job, and get out. So I go into the bushes, and there's like branches smacking me in the face, and I got my tool belt on with the bags full of tools, and I'm having a hard time maneuvering through the branches and getting tangled up. But I get to the house box. I open it up, and I am taking out the old line, and I'm fitting up my new line when I hear a thud, followed by a couple more thuds. It's not like a loud, it's like kind of a I don't know, imagine like you punch your pillow. It's a thud, but it's coming from the back of my head. Now, I've heard about this before, where essentially the bees are trying to warn me, get the fuck out, or shit's about to happen. I've never had this happen before. In all my time doing this, I've never had the warning shots. Usually they just go for it. So it was an interesting experience, and I'm then trying to rush and get out. But I still have a little bit of work to do. So I hear the thuds. Bee flies at my face and then gets stuck in my beard right by my mouth. And immediately then I start flipping out, losing my shit, flailing, and like trying to get this bee out of my beard because I can feel it crawling around in there. I know it's only a matter of time before it like gets close enough that it can then sting my face. So flipping out with that, get the bee out of my beard, and then I hear one buzzing in my hood. Because apparently in my flailing, I had loosened up the hood enough that a bee could then fly into the hood. Now, it might be the same bee, it might be another bee. I'm not sure. Suffice to say, what happens next just was the perfect cherry on my already shit Sunday. Bee flies up right to my hairline, and those watching the video can probably have already seen the red spot. Flies up and stings me right at my fucking hairline. At which point, I stop everything I'm doing, run out of the bushes, and start swearing profusely. I don't care if the customer hears me. I don't care if people see a cable guy in the bright safety vest flipping out, rubbing his head, and just swearing like a sailor. Because I'm pissed. It hurt. I've only been stung once before in my life, and it was on my arm. That hurt quite a bit, but nowhere near the level of discomfort as being stung on the fucking hairline. Because, as I'm sure many of you know, the hairline's starting to recede. It's not where it once was. It's like my scalp is becoming eminent domain and baldness is taking over. And I've noticed there's a difference in the texture of the skin where the hair used to be, and that's kind of where he got me. It still hurts a little bit, but for the rest of the night, it hurt. It brought on a headache. I could feel the blood pounding in my head, and call my supervisor, or no, I called him later in the day to talk about another job, and like, so how's this going? It's like, oh, it's alright, aside from the bee sting and the dog shit. He's like, what? I explained the situation. He's like, he just starts laughing. Says, well, what you do is you take the dog shit, you rub it in the bee sting, and everything's gonna work out. Go fuck yourself. Of course, it's the only appropriate response. You ask anybody, or you tell anybody, yeah, I got stung by a bee and I've got dog shit all over my boots. They're immediately going to say, oh, rub the dog shit in the bee sting. And I feel sick. Whew. Gonna really try not to throw up this show, but I make no promises. I've been doing bad all day. So yeah, that's why I didn't really do the show last night. I had a headache, and I was exhausted because I was already sick, and had a lot of ladder work yesterday. And I came home and made some dinner and watched a big fat quiz of everything, and saw 8:30 rolling around. I'm like, I can't. I don't have it in me. I'm just exhausted. So yeah. Sorry, no show last night, but hey, we're here now. There might be a nap in my immediate future. Tired. Sore. Got a bee sting on my goddamn head. Sorry. Again, can't make myself laugh. What else we got? I'm looking here through the notes. Whew. I don't know, maybe we'll just make this section a little bit of a hodgepodge. Recently listened to an interview on Kevin Smith's Smodcast with Megan Phelps Roper. She's one of the former Westboro Church members, one of the daughters who ended up leaving the church, and it is just an incredible and powerfully moving story about what she was raised to believe, what she went through, and her ultimate decision as to why she wanted to leave the church and what's happened since then, and everything that's involved. I went ahead and put links on my site, Twitter, and Facebook. So, of course, I mean, it's not hard to find Kevin Smith and Smodcast, so you can just Google it. But I highly, highly recommend everybody go listen to it because it is just phenomenal. One of the best interviews I've ever heard. Got some new glasses. Decided we're gonna go ahead and take advantage of the old eye doctor insurance. I was always hesitant, like, for a very long time I've not had any type of insurance, and now that I have a job that gives me all the insurance, I'm still terrified to use it because one, I'm poor and I'm not sure that I can cover any like co-pays and whatnot, and two, yes, I'm terrified about hidden fees and whatnot. But it's been about 4 years since I got a new pair of glasses, and what happened with the old ones is my son, he very much likes wearing my glasses, decided that he was going to bend the frames, and so for 3-ish years I've been wearing crooked glasses. And again, hadn't had an eye exam, so I wasn't sure. Oh, my eyes going? Do I need a checkup? I should probably get that taken a look at. So, made an appointment with the local eye doctor after reviewing the insurance. And the way it's worded is that, oh yeah, like every 2 years you get the free exam, you get lenses, you get the frames, and then I can also get a set of contacts. Now, since wearing glasses, I've decided, oh, I'm much more handsome and I appear much smarter than I actually am while wearing them. So I'm not going to go to contacts. That, and I'm also terrified about, tearing out my cornea or losing them somewhere in my eye because I'm an idiot. So I make the appointment, the boy and I go in, and he's an absolute peach. Incredibly well behaved in public. He got several compliments on it. He's a delight, no issues there. But when time came to pick outside glasses, of course he wants to help, and he wants to, all right, buddy, find me a pair of glasses. What do you think's gonna work? And essentially, I'm trying to humor him as far as okay, I'm gonna look for glasses that I actually want, and then you can bring me, contenders, and we'll see. It'll be like a little fun game of dress up. And he's doing just that. They got the displays all lined out, and he can't reach the ones up top, but he's tall enough now that he can reach the ones that are, kind of at waist level. And it quickly dawns on me that he's very much in the gotta look cool phase. So he's bringing me essentially, those big, thick plastic frames that are a bunch of different colors. He's looking for green glasses because green is now his favorite color. But essentially, color is what he wants, and so he's bringing me all these glasses, that have the foam padding behind them. They're for riding motorcycles and whatnot. And at this point, I have to explain to my son something terrible that I had realized about myself several years ago, is that I have a gigantic head. I have to get hats that are larger than normal. I have to get glasses that are wider than normal, because glasses for normal people kind of stabbed me right in the middle of the fucking face. To the point when I did have to go up to our corporate headquarters for training, they require you to wear safety glasses. And none of the safety glasses. There were a few other people that wore glasses. Sure, them with their normal, regular-sized human heads were able to slide safety glasses on top of their glasses, but not so in my case. To the point where the trainer says, "What's up, Woody? You got a damn big head there, Christian. Why don't you get rid of those extra wide glasses and you can put on the safety glasses?" Oh, I'd love to, but they don't fit. So for the duration of my 3 weeks of training, I had to wear, remember in high school when you'd have lab and your chemistry classes and you'd have those big plastic glasses, goggles with the rubber band that wrapped around the back of your head? I had to wear those fuckers over my face. And it was awful. It was awful because, again, I'm a very vain person. And I'm an a-hole who's standing out there in oversized pants because they just gave me what they had, or for your uniform they supply you with clothes, and big stupid goggles over my glasses. So yeah, my son's trying to pick all these glasses that he likes, and unfortunately I'm relegated to what again will actually fit my head, which this was one of a few pairs. So I decided I shouldn't. Well, yeah, I guess I did decide. The decision was forced upon me by my bank account, but they checked my insurance. They said, "Oh yeah, they'll cover everything except for lenses. They'll only cover X amount for the lenses." So previously, when I had gotten my glasses, I did the give me the UV protection and the scratch coating and all this extra stuff, because I wanted nice glasses and I wanted them to last, and they did. 4 years, I imagine, is a good run with a set of glasses. But this time around, because I didn't have the excess money, I just said, "Oh well, let's conduct a little experiment. This will be a good way to force me into finding something new. Uh, let's go ahead and just get plain old glasses. Let's um, not get the UV protection or the glare resistance or the scratch resistance. Just get regular glasses. And if I decide that, oh yeah, I actually do need all this extra stuff, I can come in and get new lenses for my frames. It's been interesting. I think there is a little bit of a difference. It might also be that this is the biggest pair of glasses I've ever owned. Usually I get, the narrower, more hip and chic glasses. But I can definitely pick up my hideous reflection in said glasses, and I notice that light is definitely popping up more. Like if you're watching the stream, you can see the lighting appearing on these lenses, and you can see the reflection on my screen here. Whereas I don't think that happened with my old pair. So it's taking some getting used to. It's not super distracting. And also it feels like the glasses are always dusty. Like there's always this fine layer of schmutz on them. And I'll clean them and I'll clean them. Like, no, they're perfectly clean. And there's nothing on there. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm seeing things. But it takes some getting used to, but it's fun because when I'm showing him the glasses that I think I can wear, that I will actually wear, it's like, how do they look, buddy? And compared to the ones that he wants, like, they're okay, Dada. They're not. I'm not getting like they're great, when I'm wearing the fucking biker shades. But we settled. We came to an agreement that these should be okay. So if you ever have the opportunity, definitely take a 3-year-old shopping for glasses because they get super involved and it's adorable. How could you not enjoy it? I'm sorry. It's 2:15. I should not be yawning like this. Hey, I pushed myself too hard by actually staying conscious on my sick day. Alright, so we got another 33 minutes to go. Jesus. Oh, what am I going to do? We're going to talk about doing live shows. So I know we didn't win a podcast award, but that doesn't deter me from wanting to do bigger, grander things with this. And part of doing bigger, grander things was we got an invitation or an email, I guess you could say, from the C2E2, which is one of the Comic Cons held down in Chicago. They are looking for panels for next year. And I thought it was weird that I got something sent to me, but I'm not questioning it. The show is definitely gaining traction, and I'm gaining attention from places that I wouldn't suspect. Like, according to one site, the Unwashed Asses was ranked 104 on Taiwan's comedy charts for iTunes. When I check stats, I don't see that we have many Taiwanese listeners, but there it is, or supposedly there it is. And of course I go and I switch iTunes over to Taiwan. It's like, I can't find it, but it was an old report that I had found. But yeah, we're gaining traction and attention, and you're telling other people, which is amazing, and thank you very much for doing that. But I guess as part of that is now I get solicitations. People are like, oh, well, sign up for our site where we match you with advertisers, but you need a minimum of like 1,000 listens per episode. And then you get emails like, oh, come apply to be a panelist, like C2E2. So long and short of it is, I went ahead and filled out the application where, let's go ahead, we'll host a panel at one of the nation's biggest comic conventions. I went a couple years ago with a cousin and my son, and it was a super fun time. A lot of people, and of course, you have your celebrities, like Stan Lee was there. And part of me is really, really excited that if we get the application approved and I do have the opportunity to go speak and host a panel, holy shit, how amazing is that going to be? Like, I'm going to be doing nothing but talking about, oh, Megan Fox's ass sat in that chair there. Imagine how many farts of Megan Fox that chair contains now. And I will give this chair away to a random audience member because, let's face it, there's going to be random audience members there. People haven't heard of me, and they're going to be like, oh, the Unwashed Asses. The fuck's this all about? And next thing you know, they're getting a chair that Megan Fox farted in, and I'm then having to pay C2E2 or the McCormick Place for a chair that was not mine to give away. And I think that's awesome and exciting, and I really, really want this to happen. But there's another part of me that is just terrified at the possibility of I'm on a much bigger platform at that point, on a much bigger stage than what I'm used to. Now, it's different when, like, I can get hundreds or thousands of views and listens by doing the show normally, but it ultimately breaks down to I'm sitting in my underwear in my living room doing the show. I'm not standing up in front of dozens or hundreds of people and potential celebrities or studios or people I look up to or am aware of because they're so much in the public eye, possibly seeing me make an ass of myself. And that scares the shit out of me. So I'm going to make it happen one way or another. The trick is, so like, say, yeah, okay, that it gets approved, and like, oh yeah, come host a panel. You got like 3 o'clock on Sunday, right before we close. Nobody's gonna be there anyways. Of course, I'm still gonna go do it, and I'm gonna get up there, and we have a few local listeners, which would be awesome if you guys show up. But the point is, then I have to go up in front of a room full of strangers and do the show, and that got me thinking. Most people that go to things like that are savvy to what a podcast is. But I can't help but draw parallels to what is a one-man show and a comedian. And I am by no stretch of the imagination a comedian. But it's me standing on a stage with a microphone trying to be funny for a half hour to an hour. When looked at in that light, how is it that much different from a comedian? Well, you could say, the stories you tell aren't necessarily all that funny. I say, fair point. I try, but I'm not a funny person. They say they're all kind of bad because you're a terrible oral storyteller. I say, fair point. Appreciate the criticism. They say, you're not even all that entertaining. Comedians are funny, entertaining, they know how to tell a good story, and generally they have makeup teams that make them look good. Even Bill Burr with his bald head and red beard and freckled face, far more attractive than you, who hasn't cut your hair in a few months and has let your beard grow out to weird proportions. Again, appreciate the criticism. Wish you'd back off a little bit. I can only take so much. So to get myself up to that point where I am ready to deal with said criticism, the thought strikes. Maybe we need to start doing live shows around here. But the parallel then comes back. How do I present myself to, say, local events? Because there's plenty of bars that have like open mic nights, and like, hey, I'd like to, get a spot on your open mic night on Friday. What do? Well, I do a one-man show. Immediately you're going to think, well, is he like a juggler or a fucking magician? Or are you a comedian? Actually, I kind of do a podcast where I tell stories and try to be funny. So like a comedian. Yes, but it's not all funny, so it's kind of sad. Oh, so you tell life stories as a comedian? No. Essentially, I'm a storyteller. Are there going to be dragons? Possible. I'm probably going to lean more into drunk necromancers that create the undead for their own sexual pleasure. Okay? And that's the thing where I'm not necessarily going to go up with pre-made like a routine. I'm not going to go up there with a bit or a set as far as like, here's my greatest hits for this year. Let's get them all cranked out in, typical comedian fashion where the jokes are 10 seconds to 2 minutes long and then boop boop boom. I try to do 20-minute chunks on one story. So storytelling and open mic night doesn't necessarily have that. So how do I then present myself to bars, or do I have to go to conventions? Do I just immediately take that jump to I play to the audience that is going to know what it is and what I'm dealing with? Maybe, but then I have to convince them, oh, you're going to get this many people showing up for X revenue. And then how do I handle the technical aspects of it? It's all intimidating, I'm not going to lie, but it's going to happen. I kind of like when first started streaming or doing anything related to this, or when I, started publishing books on Amazon, figure it out as I go, because there's, I know how to use the Google. But yeah, as Jonas is just saying, better try than lie, and that's just kind of it, trial by fire. Get into it and give it a whirl. And at that point, yeah, I might have enough gigs under my belt where then if I do get the acceptance letter from C2E2, like, fuck it, I'm ready, let's go, we got this. And then I go do a show, and Stan Lee says, I thought I was gonna retire from doing the Comic-Con circuit so I wouldn't have to see shit like this. And then Megan Fox just purposely does not fart into a chair, so I can't give away her fart chair. Or, the audience says, the Unwashed Asses, is it because he doesn't wipe his butt? It's... And what do I make my revenue? No, fuck it. We figure it out as we go. Figure it out as we go. No, he doesn't know what he's doing. Never does. Just makes it up as he goes. Oh, are you talking about Stan Lee? Alright. So, speaking of making up shit on the fly, past couple weeks, because it is Boogity Boogity Boo Halloween, or October at least, trying to break down a different monster every week. The week before, what did we do? We did Ghosts, and then we had Headless Horseman before that. So I was really struggling because I want to keep it on more classical monsters. I don't want to necessarily get into Cthulhu mythos or this new wave age of monsters of, well, I'm a vampire but I sparkle, or I'm a bald werewolf. Just keep it back. I'm a huge fan of the classic Universal Pictures monsters. And prior to really getting into all of the classic monsters, my favorites were always, their favorite monster type was always the zombie. Now, not to... Did I not... Oh, Christian, why? I might have just had myself muted. I don't know. Or I just blew out your eardrums with that cough. I have no idea, because I don't know what I'm doing. Uh, so yeah, zombies were always my favorite monster, hands down, until several years ago when we then had zombies pop up everywhere. They were just nonstop books, movies. Max Brooks wrote the zombie apocalypse survival guide, and we had World War Z and um, 28 Days Later, and the Resident Evil movies really got big and a lot of popularity, and it was just zombies left and right to the point where we even then had zombie rom-coms or rom-coms with, what was it? It was with the kid who played Beast in the rebooted X-Men series, and then he was in Mad Max Fury Road. Anywho, zombies were everywhere. And probably the biggest offender we had was The Walking Dead, and that's all good and well. I like to see classic horror kind of come back into the mainstream, where for a long time we had slasher flicks in the 80s and 90s, which then led to what was essentially the torture porn of the late 90s, early 2000s, and then it kind of petered back out, where true horror doesn't really exist. We've had a couple forays into it with The Mummy being remade recently with Tom Cruise, and then we had Benicio del Toro's The Wolfman, which, despite getting critically panned, I thought was absolutely stunning. It played very true to the spirit of the Lon Chaney original. But for a very long time, we didn't have classic true horror monster movies, except for zombies. Zombies were everywhere. We still have The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead running. Not necessarily strong, but they're strong enough that they keep getting redone. And when we hit essentially what was peak zombie fatigue, I may have switched sides. I may have switched over to Team Jacob, where all of a sudden, werewolves are my jam. But I felt like a traitor, that I had turned my back on the monsters that I dug the most, and I had to stop and think. What was it about the zombies that really drew me in the first place? Is it the fact that they're undead and death's kind of cool? Where we throw on our white grease paint and black out our eyes and throw on some robes and we summon up some zombies like necromancers? Possibly. Is the fact that they represent what we are in life, as far as mindless sheep that only congregate in giant herds and follow what the masses want? Good social commentary. George Romero did it best when the zombies hit the mall, and was it Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead? I think it was Dawn of the Dead was the first one where they're holed up in the farmhouse, and then Day of the Dead was the one where they're in the shopping mall. Great social commentary. I mean, you can take away and talk a lot about it. There's great philosophy in it, but I think what really appeals to me is the fact that you have kind of like, I'm gonna level with you guys here, or tell you a little secret. I'm gonna let you in on something. Mechanical sounds, kind of like a train horn or train coming down the tracks, or a horn on a cruise ship, freak the shit out of me. They are unnerving to me because they represent to me a soulless, unstoppable force. Something that cannot be stopped despite your greatest efforts. It is impervious to your designs and desires. And zombies are that as well, where you can look at games like 7 Days to Die, where you can prepare as much as you want, or Left 4 Dead, where the horde is going to come after you. You have a little bit of time to prepare your defenses and get ready. But that horde of the damned, essentially, will always, through sheer numbers, overwhelm and overcome. they represent a finality that, try as we might, we cannot overcome what they will do. And not to mention, the idea that being eaten alive it's awful. We've all been bitten at some point, not necessarily by a zombie, but probably by a toddler or an associate while going through school. Sometimes people put teeth on you, and it fucking hurts. But only a handful of times that you've gotten bit did it break the skin. And so you can kind of put that in a context where I've been bitten, it didn't break the skin, it left a lot of marks, it bruised the hell out of me, but it didn't break the skin. And then you have to imagine something like that dozens of times, but only worse, happening simultaneously, where, yeah, they've got you pinned to the ground, they're tearing out chunks of your arm and legs and neck, and they're using their nubby little fingers to rip open your abdomen and pull out the juicy, you become like a little cornucopia of intestines and organs. Because as much as I like the classic zombie idea of, oh yeah, they're after brains, they're just after flesh, they're after meat, and you are flesh. So they're not gonna, go and end it quickly. Welcome to the show, Woody. This did turn dark. They're not gonna end it quickly, like by bashing open your head like a walnut, a squirrel with a walnut. They're gonna eat your fleshy bits first, and the fleshy bits aren't necessarily gonna be what kill you. Eventually, the blood loss and shock will, but they're gonna start with, where's the most meat? Your legs, your arms, chest. They're gonna start digging into the stomach. Gonna take you a little while to die, and it's gonna hurt the whole time you're dying. And there's something that way of going out is far more terrifying, at least to me, than any other. Vampires, they do it pretty quick. They'll jump on you and they'll put the fangs in your neck and drain your blood. And from what I hear, it's kind of a euphoric experience because they don't want you to fight. Because if you manage to get the vampire off of you, we're going to ignore the supernatural strength and the hypnosis and all that goes with it. If you manage to get the vampire off you and they've tapped into your main line, your artery, your Alaskan pipeline, if you will, you're just going to be spurting blood everywhere, and it's going to look like a Jackson Pollock painting. You're going to bleed out pretty quickly, is what I'm saying. You look at werewolf victims, where werewolves, 7 to 9 feet tall, they've got claws like a grizzly, and it's pretty quick. They're going to either lop off your head or do such severe trauma so quickly that, again, it's a relatively quick death. Ghosts don't kill you. Skeletons use weapons like swords and spears, and unless you're venturing into a medieval fantasy dungeon, you don't really run into skeletons that much. Creature from the Black Lagoon, did he even really have a kill count? He was just really trying to kidnap that one girl. I don't think he actively killed... Oh, no, he did. He killed people. But we never saw how it happened. But he had like those bit weird fish claw flipper things. Frankenstein, strangle you or bash your head in. What else do we have? Phantom of the Opera was a man. He'd kill you by crushing you or waving a cape over you, and all of a sudden you're dead. Invisible Man was a man. So again, strangulation, bludgeoning, those were his go-to tools. The long and short of what I'm trying to get at here is that the zombie represents the most agony, the most painful death. At least that I can think of. So, I need to mute my phone, apparently. I'm sorry about that. So that's what makes them so scary. And ultimately, when you're considering your horror monsters, you have to think, what's the scariest? Going through a haunted house and dealing with ghosts. Woody can relate to me when you're playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines and you're going through that haunted house. That is by far the scariest section of the game because you have those jump scares. It creates atmosphere and whatnot, but it's in a game. If you then consider the possibility, like everybody's favorite fantasy is that of an apocalypse. And what's our most common apocalypse scenario? Zombies. It's one that's definitely on the forefront of our society's mind at the moment. And if you think about it, where you have humanity, like the last vestiges of humanity that's separated, we're not together. We're trying to survive on our own, or we form small tribes and we scavenge. And for the large part, we are outnumbered. We are the hunted. We are the deer that's facing the pack of wolves. The wolves being the zombies. It creates this terror just because of the fact that we're the ones used to being the hunter. We're the ones at the top of the food chain. We are the dominant creature. And to have that flipped just naturally triggers a primalistic fear where you can imagine hiding in an abandoned building and hearing the shuffling dead just outside, their guttural groans and the wet squishiness of their rotting and decaying flesh slapping against a door or a window, and you're sitting in the dark, hearts racing, you can hear the blood pumping in your ears, praying that they don't smell you or see you or otherwise locate you, because at that point, you're nothing more than an animal. You're nothing more than a running piece of meat, and you have to try and get away from something that, does not stop. Because much like the humans that they once were, that's just it. We humans are the best endurance runners out there. We can run down a horse, we can run down a cheetah, because while they have great bursts of speed initially, they always stop and rest. And humans are kind of like a Terminator. We just don't stop. We always keep going. So to flip that on ourselves, where then we're the ones who have always outlasted and outrun everything, to have something that can do it, that very thing to us is preternatural. It's horrifying. And that's what I like about the zombies is just that they're that unstoppable force. They can't be reasoned with because they're mindless. They're capable of great violence just in the manner of which they dispatch you, and they come in a kind of like breakfast cereal. There's a wide variety of flavors where you have your classic slow Romero zombie where they're brainless and they can barely get up a set of stairs, and they swarm you in a horde very slowly. And then you have the 28 days later version of zombie, where every single zombie, regardless if they weigh 400 pounds or they're a 6-year-old child, can suddenly outrun an Olympic Kenyan athlete, where they are just lickety split. Barry Allen could not outrun these zombies, and that is just the freakiest shit, because everybody's going to agree, if I have to deal with zombies, I want the slow ones. I can handle the slow ones. They're scary, but I can at least wrap my head around the concept of slow zombie. I can work with this. But the fast ones, you're fucked. What can you do against that? They're faster than you. They're more ferocious than you. They're stronger than you. The only thing you got going for you is they can't necessarily open doors. They got to beat them down. And fast zombies just suck. They're scary as shit. And then, of course, you could go like the Left 4 Dead variations, where you have the ones that are super strong, or they throw up, or they have noxious gas, or long lashing tongues, or you get the witch. The witch is... I don't know why it was, but I always got stuck on witch detail when playing that game. And for those that never played Left 4 Dead, it essentially breaks down that the witch is always a female zombie, very scantily clad. She's got very long claws, and you can always hear her because she'll be crying. And so whenever you hear crying, everybody's like, shut the fuck up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut the fuck up. Calm down. Shh. And everybody's got to turn out their lights because lights startle the witch. You got to creep slowly because sound startles the witch. And the reason you have to be so careful around the witch is if she gets alerted to your presence, she will murder the whole team. She has the capability to wipe everybody. And so the way you handle the witch, or at least the way I handled the witch, was if you can get the full auto shotgun, otherwise the regular shotgun works, and it then falls on you to creep up on the witch, get that shotgun like right at the sweet spot at the base of the skull, and then just start unloading. And usually you can then take down the witch. But you have to be quiet. You have to turn out the lights, so you're creeping through the dark, and you're just hearing this sobbing getting louder and louder and louder. And you know what will happen to you should you fuck up. And your whole team is just kind of somewhere else, because if the witch jumps and gets you, they still have a chance to run away and get away from it. So you're ultimately on your own. And for whatever reason, yeah, it always fell on me to go take care of the witch. And I'd like to say I was largely successful, but of course there's times where I fail miserably. But it got to the point where, with all of my witch hunting, that I was like a surgeon with this shotgun. I could, shoot the balls off a fly at 50 meters away. I was pretty proud of myself. Those skills then carried over to how I played my Titan in the first Destiny. But Destiny 2, I've yet to really find a shotgun that I like. So, yeah, zombies. Dig them. I don't like what modern media has done with them lately, but what are you going to do about it? They are what they are. Got a cat who's showing off his butthole to everybody. Check out that butt. So, I think that's going to do it. We covered all the topics I wanted to cover. But if you guys want to talk about zombies or, cat butts, or your thoughts on what is actually the greatest horror monster of all time, write the show, theunwashedasses@gmail.com. theunwashedasses@gmail.com. Of course, Twitter at unwashed_asses. Of course, you can always find the show on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, anywhere you get your shows. And, of course, we usually record Mondays, 9 p.m. Central. And we'll see you next week.
I can feel the end, it's drawing near. It will soon be here. Oh, that much is clear. So shut the doors and turn off the lights. Let us sleep tonight. Let us huddle in the dark. Oh, my lover, you are beautiful, but that beauty comes at such a price. And I know that you'll soon disappear, like the dark and the night.
This show is part of the HFC Gaming Network. Get more at horrorofcasitis.com.